So welcome to the next edition of the Rare Business Podcast. With me today I have Sarah Wood, who is co-founder of Unruly Media. Hi Sarah.
Hey, hi Adrian.
How are you doing?
Yeah, well, thank you.
So Sarah, for the benefit of our listeners and readers, can you tell us a bit about you and the work that you do?
So I'm one of the co-founders at Unruly. My role is COO, which means I've got overall responsibility for ad operations. So our business is to get videos watched, tracked and shared for top brands and their agencies. So it's my job as COO to make sure that we are delivering the most awesome social video campaigns on the planet. I'm responsible for marketing, so in that part of my job it's about building out our content strategy, and making sure that we're thought leaders in the space, and making sure that all the great campaigns we do for clients are being recognised and being talked about, and bringing in repeat business.
Fantastic.
And then I'm also responsible for people and places. And that means making sure we've got a strong company culture, making sure we look after our unrulies, making sure that everything runs smoothly.
Fantastic. Now, I must admit that I have run a couple of your campaigns. I've been part of your blogger outreach program, I guess.
Oh, awesome! I hadn't realised that.
Yes, so I run there was a Salesforce one where we did something about social business with Burberry and things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then there was one to do with local business, Camp and Furnace, and another arts and crafts business as well.
Fantastic.
Which was, I think, more of a, I don't know, I'm not going to name the brand unless I get it wrong, but it was very much a campaign that was based on focusing on local businesses and highlighting them. There was one in Manchester, which is an arts and crafts shop, and then there was Camp and Furnace in Liverpool.
Wow, that's so interesting, isn't it? Because you can have a global brand do content marketing and it be extremely effective, and you can also have a very niche brand, a local brand doing local marketing and find it extremely effective. I think that's one of the reasons that content marketing and video marketing in particular is really growing in popularity, because it works for all kinds of different brands and businesses of different sizes and at different stages in their life cycle.
Well, absolutely, and what I find really interesting is how resilient content marketing is. So it's not just it can be campaign based when there's an initial sort of push, as it were, when you share things, but actually it sticks around as well, and it can have a lot of resilience over time.
Yeah, it's very true, and that partly depends on the content and the kind of emotional triggers that are elicited, how tied into the zeitgeist it is. Some campaigns spike high and then die away very quickly. A great example of that would have been Nike's Right the Future from the World Cup in 2010. But other campaigns are evergreen. People are still watching and sharing that content years later. I was just about to put out some research about Super Bowl.
Right.
In fact, we just put it out, and one of those facts was that half of all shares from Super Bowl ads come at least 1 month after the Super Bowl is finished, which I think is a great example of how even content that is specifically designed for a particular event can still live on and be generating word of mouth recommendations much later on in time.
Yeah, fantastic. So back to our story in hand, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you now, because back in 2012 you appeared in the Sunday Times 100 Best Small Companies to Work For list. So first of all, I wanted to congratulate you on that, because I thought that was brilliant.
Thank you. It's the award that we are most proud of.
Fantastic. And also, you've just recently, I guess, I've seen been in the Deloitte's Tech 50 companies in the UK, or one of them.
One of them, and within EMEA as well, which is fantastic.
Excellent. Now, tell me, why did you enter the Sunday Times competition? I mean, what was the driver behind that?
Well, initially, the driver was to get feedback. To get feedback from Unruly. So at the time, we were just beginning to ramp up growth staff numbers. So we'd gone from being a 5-person company to a 10, and then a 10 to a 20, and then 20 to 40. And that leap from 20 to 40 people actually felt like a bit of a gulf.
Right.
Suddenly we had a US office and then a French office. We had people who didn't necessarily see each other all the time. And we were no longer, as founders, able to talk to everyone all the time to gauge sentiment, to gauge how they were feeling. So this seemed like a good way to get some objective feedback, but that also could have a positive outcome for the company if it went well.
Excellent.
So we were gobsmacked. We were absolutely gobsmacked. Came 27th. But we literally, our Chief People Officer, Dina Murphy, who has done so much within Unruly to promote our cultural values, pretty much fell off her chair when we found out.
That's fantastic. Did you have? I mean, just to be clear, when you talk about Unrulies, that's your people, right? Yes.
Yes, Unrulies. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Did you get T-shirts on that said we are number 27 or number 25 or whatever it was?
No, we should do that. We should definitely do that. We're very big on data and numbers, but no, we haven't. But honestly, do you know what? It can be counterproductive obsessing too much on employee numbers
Yeah.
and how long people have been here. And this is precisely one of the things we were finding when we did the survey, was that early employees felt very different towards the company and how they wanted it to be run and how they wanted the whole experience to be than did later employees who'd come on when the company was at a bigger stage.
Right.
And it's really important for us that as we grow and as we continue to grow, we don't alienate new Unrulies. When people join us, they join us because they've gone through a very thorough process. We think they're awesome, and we're confident that they're going to deliver amazing results.
Yeah.
And they're as much a part of Unruly, the Unruly story and the Unruly future, as Unrulies who've been here since the year dot.
Okay. Now, and I read a couple of things about that, about the awards, and there was a quote from Christian Dipolito, which is a group head of international sales, and Christian said,
Yes.
There's this energy in the company that makes everything exciting. There's a particular culture here, a tight sense of community, and it's a lot of fun. Now, what that really interested me, and I just thought, well, how have you created that, and have you done anything specifically to create your culture or to help build your culture?
In terms of the fun and the energy and the excitement, I think that comes from so many places. But one place is giving people opportunities and actually taking them outside their comfort zone.
Right.
To do new things that they've not done before, and that maybe in other companies it would be seen to be too risky.
Right.
So Christian did an amazing job when Coney 2012 broke. So I don't know if you remember Coney 2012, but we had the most shared video of the year, the kind of most shared commercial video. And we had, within hours of that breaking, we had the BBC, CNN, Sky on the phone wanting interviews with someone from Unruly to talk about sensation and what it meant for the future of content and viral.
Right.
And no one kind of senior who might otherwise have done those interviews was around. So we said, well, Dippo should do it. Dippo, fantastic at talking to people. This is a great opportunity. And I think at first he was a bit tentative because he hadn't done any TV interviews before. He hadn't been media trained.
Right.
But there he was on BBC doing an amazing job of explaining why Tony 2012 is an example of the power of social media to drive brand messages. And that is replicated across the company, across our staff members every day.
Okay.
Whenever there's an opportunity for someone, we encourage them to go for it. And if it doesn't go to plan, it's not a big deal.
Right.
It needs to be backed up by training. It needs to be backed up by the sense of it's fine to fail. It's fine for things to go wrong. No one's going to be blamed. We're all learning new stuff all the time. We're all trying things out. And I think we all kind of share that excitement and energy about learning, trying new things.
I mean, I think that sort of links in with there's another quote that I saw, which was from Matt Cook, who is your CTO and also one of your founders. Is that right?
Yes.
And he said it's very collaborative and social around here, and says we aren't dictating, we're very inclusive, and it's all like it's a series of small things that make a difference. It's like a big kitchen, and I thought that was really powerful because it makes me think. I don't know if you're a fan of sport and particularly cycling, but you know the guy Dave Brailsford from Team GB Cycling.
I don't know, but tell me about him.
Okay, so he has this philosophy that the idea is that rather than making, say, a 10% improvement on 2 or 3 different areas, that's so much harder than making, say, a 1% improvement in 100 different areas.
Yeah.
And actually, if you make that slight increments in a number of different areas, it all adds up to a big change.
I couldn't agree more. And that's a real principle of agile.
Okay.
So he's an agile sportsman. We're an agile development house, and a lot of our culture, a lot of our practices as well as principles come out of agile development culture.
Okay.
And one of those is about making incremental improvements. So we do this in all areas. In our product development, we have 2.5-week planning cycles where we build. We make small changes to the product. They're cumulative, they're responsive, they're what the client wants, and they get us to a very powerful place. It's not always about one big idea.
Yeah.
It's about having lots and lots of small ideas and executing them very well. And then when they don't work out, improving upon them. So seeing where they're strong and then building on success.
Okay.
And we kind of practice that everywhere. It's tough though, because what that does demand is lots of communication.
Well, indeed. I mean, it seems to me that I'm sure you've been in meetings like this before, as I have too. Is when that somebody will say, so we need a bunch of ideas, and it's okay. Let's start innovating or start blue sky thinking, and everybody sits there a little bit like rabbits in headlights or blank faces and go, oh. And so I guess my question based on that is, and based on your culture and sort of, if you like, training and selection of people. I mean, how do you find engender that sort of openness to just throw out ideas and just to be innovative and to try new things? I mean, do you do something specific, or is that all about sort of finding the right people, do you think?
I think it's about the people and the places.
Okay.
And that's why we don't have an HR team and we don't have a facilities team. We have a team called People and Places.
Okay.
Because I think first of all, you need the right kind of people. So when we're recruiting, we look for pandas. And
Okay.
that's people. That's an acronym. We recruit kind of really rigorously on this kind of the panda mantra. We look for people who are positive and passionate, who think that anything's possible, who are nurturing with no ego, determined, A-plus players, and social creatures. And if you get someone with those qualities, then they're very likely to want to take part in brainstorms, to share ideas and to be able to accept feedback and learn from it. Then you also need the spaces, the places where those people can come together.
Yeah.
And I think this is often overlooked in companies. The kitchen table is the most important bit of furniture you can ever have in a business, because that's where people will come together and chat. But there's lots more you can do than that. So I think it's important what we've done anyway, what's important for us has been to create as many spaces as possible for people to have random meetings and collisions. Jonah Lehrer talks about this in his book on imagination and creativity, which I think is called Imagine. It's about enabling serendipitous exchanges between different people who wouldn't normally speak together.
Right.
So someone from product talking to someone in marketing as they're playing football at the football table. So we have a games area, a library, a clubhouse, lots of breakout areas, and the kitchen, all these different spaces where people can come together, talk, share ideas, and feel comfortable with each other and learn to trust each other.
Right.
Because I think a lot of the cultural capital comes from having a lot of trust, and that needs to come from the founders. We're so lucky at Unruly. Matt, Scott, and I just have 100% confidence and trust in each other. And I think that's something that we've really encouraged as we've hired new people, and to trust each other. We trust each other to make the best decisions that we can, to do the best jobs that we can, given the resources, given the information that we know at the time. And we trust that everyone who's here is here because they want to do a kick-ass job. And then when you have those levels of trust, people are more prepared to throw out ideas, to throw them onto the table. And, you need 1,000 bad ideas before you get a decent one, and all those bad ideas help to generate the decent ones. So there's a real spirit of throwing in everything that we can and trusting that what will come is something interesting and exciting.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I'd imagine that the impact on sort of productivity, creativity, staff retention, and just your general ability to deliver better service to your clients just must go through the roof.
I hope that it really helps, and our delivery is at the core of our mission statement. So our mission as a company is to deliver the most awesome social video campaigns on the planet, and delivery is key. And I think what we do at Unruly is we think about delivery really broadly. So yes, it's about delivering campaigns, but it's also about making sure that we're delivering to each other. So if someone in the marketing team is expecting me to proofread or come up with a document by Tuesday afternoon, then I'll make sure I've done it by Tuesday afternoon, because they're expecting that.
Yeah.
So I think, and that, again, that's part of the trust. And we're productive because we respect each other, and we want to make sure that we do the best that we can for each other. Because when we're all pulling in the same direction, we're incredibly powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
it's interesting though, because it's not just about productivity, and it's not even just about staff retention. Although it does really help to have happy staff who are productive staff who are delighted because we're creating great work. But it really helps with recruitment as well, because we have lots of people coming in who have been referred to us by other Unrulies.
Well, I was going to say that must make your whole recruitment drive, or any recruitment they need to do, must just be really easy, because you end up with people that are just internally are advocating for your business on all fronts, both with your clients and also with their peers. Yeah,
it gives us. I wouldn't say it's easy, because our talent
manager
does a really kind of good, thorough job of making sure that we're not just looking at contacts that we know, but we're extending the net as broadly as possible.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, it's brilliant to have referrals. Yes, internal advocates who can then go out and say, "Oh, you should come and work at Unruly." That's fantastic, and we love that. But it is important to bring in new people who maybe nobody does know, and people who come from a completely different field,
yes,
different business, and we've never come across them before, because they're going to bring in fresh ideas. that we need to keep the business moving forward and staying ahead of the competition.
Well, yes, and then you limit the. I don't know if this is a bad reference or not, but you limit the. The scene in Deliverance with the banjo player. You remember? If you limit limits the levels of inbreeding and also groupthink, that gets to the point where if you're just recruiting people just like you, then you've got to keep freshening it up, I guess. Keep pushing the boundaries.
That's absolutely true. Yes, it's good to have people who know each other and trust each other, but you don't want it to become incestuous because that stifles creativity and innovation. So it's always good to kind of keep the mix as fresh as possible.
Fantastic. So,
go ahead. We do that internally as well. We have ways of making that happen across the company, and one of the main ways we do that is we have squads for specific projects, which are cross-functional teams,
right,
who come together to deliver a particular kind of strategic project. So we opened our social video lab last year, which was fantastic, and had people from insight, marketing, sales, ops. From each team we had a squaddy that was in Lab Squad,
right,
and that was a great way of bringing kind of fresh configurations of people together with different expertise to work on a project.
Does that mean that you also it helps people, if you like, break out of their silos that they can get stuck in?
Exactly. Yes. So we have lots of squads ongoing, and it's always fun to be in a squad because you're at a meeting with different people.
Yeah.
And the dynamics are different, and it gives people a chance to play out different roles, to develop different skills when they go into different squads. Because you know how it can be.
Yeah.
If you're in a team, it's easy to get stuck in the rut of always being the ideas person, or always being the organizer, always being the doer. So having flexible squads and people being able to move in and out of the squads enables them to try out different roles, which is great for personal development.
I think that's great. I mean, I guess it also does add a layer of complexity onto how you do business because it adds a degree of sort of almost like a bit of a matrix type structure.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Democracy isn't cheap, and communication isn't cheap, and there's a cost certainly, and the cost is probably in the admin.
Yes.
And it can feel quite process heavy, I think. We spend a lot of time communicating as a proportion, of our working week, but I think it gets better results.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it means that we're talking to lots of different people. There are many different stakeholders, and that can be complex, and it's not to everybody's taste. But I think we're still small enough that we can keep it quite agile.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it sounds like a great story. I mean, I guess my next question would be, if you were an entrepreneur or a manager, executive, listening to this or reading the notes from this interview, and you said, "Blimey, Unruly Media seem to have got their own secret sauce," and you wanted to try and inject that into some of your team to get the best out of them, as it were. I mean, your journey is a long journey. You don't just, it's not just a flick of a switch. Then you start creating these results. I guess it's like you have to start somewhere and then build and build and build and build. I mean, so I guess what I would say to you is like, where would you advise somebody to start? What would be the top 2 or 3 things you say get these things right and they build a great foundation to build on?
I think being able to spot opportunities is really important, and that's opportunities in the marketplace, for building out business model, but also spot opportunities for your staff, because if you give them the opportunity, then they'll go out and create lots of value.
Yes.
Encourage creativity and collaboration.
Okay.
I think it's really key. Make sure you have a zero tolerance on blame culture.
Yeah.
That's as soon as people feel that they're going to be blamed and get into trouble, that starts people down the road of covering information, not sharing, and not being prepared to go out on a limb. Believe that anything's possible.
Okay.
It would be my other piece of advice. We started really small, just the 3 of us, and we've doubled on size and some year on year. And each stage we think, is this where we are, or can we go further?
Right.
Can we crack America? Where should we be going next? And I think it's brilliant having the vision and the sense of what can be achieved. Because I think it might have been Tony Benn that said this. It was probably someone kind of, I don't know, some Greek philosopher who said it in the first place. Yeah. But if you reach for the stars, then you might make it to the moon. And that's kind of always what I think. We'll reach for the stars, and if we make it to the moon, we'll be very chuffed.
Well, it's a long way.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, what's Unruly's plans for the 2013 and beyond, apart from world domination, obviously?
Well, it's going to be a really exciting year for content marketing and for kind of the video distribution in particular. We've been really excited over the last couple of months when we've been talking to CMOs and reading what CMOs are saying about how content marketing is top of their strategy, in knowing how to create the content that will get people sharing and what kind of distribution is needed to get people sharing. The recognition that word of mouth is extremely important. It's the primary factor behind, well, it depends who you listen to, but between 20 to 50% of all purchasing decisions is what McKinsey says. 92% of consumers trust earned media and recommendations rather than marketers. So there's no doubt that the space that we're in is really high on CMOs' agendas now. So for us, 2013 is about making sure we meet their needs, we exceed their expectations. So if they're wanting to be in a better position to test content, to predict the shareability of content, and to know why people are sharing content as well as what content they're sharing, and then we want to be there for that. We want to be helping them as they're tracking all their video activity and helping them to understand what the ROI is on the campaigns that they're running.
Okay, fantastic.
So several new product streams are planned in order to support this space, which is rapidly growing and developing.
Sure. No, that's fantastic. And so, Sarah, I always finish these interviews with one final question. And that question is there anything that you would like to shamelessly plug?
Shamelessly plug. Well, I'm a little bit torn. I'm going to go for two things very quickly. Sorry. So
no, you can have two. That's fine.
Okay, great. So the first thing is our new product, which we're launching the final week of January. So I'm assuming that I'm safe to talk about this.
No, you'll be fine.
Okay, brilliant. And this is Unruly ShareRank. And this is a product that we're extremely proud of. We've been building out our development team since we took the funding a year ago in order to be able to deliver this product. So this is using big data and using all Unruly's data stretching back from 2006. We've tracked 300 billion video streams and sharing activity around them so that we can start predicting for brands which of their content is going to be successful in advance of it actually being launched.
Cool.
So that's the kind of the product plug, and then the reason being here that brands often think it's kind of a fluke, it's a one-off hit, and there's this misperception that viral hits can't be predicted, and you never know what's going to come next, and it's a tough nut to crack, and it's a bit of a holy grail.
Right.
But we've developed an algorithm that takes us a long way there. We're measuring all the various the key variables: social motivation, emotional arousal, valence. Pulling all this together to create this kick-ass product. So that's one thing. And then the other an innovation that's close to my heart as an academic is we are launching a pop-up university.
Wow.
At Unruly HQ.
Okay.
We've had our own internal Unruly University for about 3 years now. And this is where we train staff in professional development and across different areas of the business. But we are now working formally with City University.
Okay.
And they've made pretty much their entire academic staff available to teach at what we're calling City Unruly University. And this is a course that's designed for tech entrepreneurs, for people who are interested in digital, in having their own businesses in the digital space. There's going to be lots of sessions around coding, financing, marketing, recruitment, resourcing, infrastructure, all the kinds of issues that you might face as an entrepreneur who's starting out but doesn't necessarily have the connections, doesn't necessarily have the people they can ask or the budget to attend a formal university. And this is all part of our longer-term Unruly legacy, which is to empower the next generation Tech City entrepreneurs. I think it's a brilliant thing at Unruly. It's been a fantastic kind of opportunity for us to grow a company, and we're so excited to be continuing that growth. But it's also really important for us to think about who's next, what's next. And I think for the UK in particular, we need to be thinking about growing out our economy, growing our digital economy, and we've all got a part to play in that.
That's fantastic. Well, I'll make sure that when we get the interview all edited and we'll get all that linked up, so we'll give you a big shout out when it goes live. But thank you so much for your time today.
Total pleasure.
Thank you.
It's so lovely to talk about this stuff because it's normally more internally facing, and it's great just to be able to chat about it. People aren't always that interested in the nuts and bolts of how do you create culture and what are the specifics that go into making that. So it's really nice to chat about it.
Yeah, it's not just about the icing on the cake. Sometimes it's about how many raisins you put into the mix.
Exactly. It absolutely is. And how many minutes do you heat it for? And which shelf of the oven you put it on? Did you use the right? Did you use the right baking paper? As you were saying, it's all these small incremental choices and steps that go to make an awesome cake.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Cheers, Ocean. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.